Fabulous! Here we are on the first class lesson. I'm never really sure what to call these things. For the meditation made easy, and this is the first time since the first few months of lockdown where I've put together the things that help make meditation easy as an actual short course. I Meditate came out of 2 weeks of teaching meditation when we first went into lockdown, because I figured people would be stressed and be worried, and so it gave everybody a focus away from all the uncertainty at the time, and here we are 4 years later, and it's still going, and we're still doing it, which is fabulous. So the aim of this is to really go into the fundamental basics of meditation, to look at some of the obstacles that people face when working with meditation, and basically how to get around them, things you can do to improve your practice, things you can do to integrate a meditation practice into your day, and inevitably, just because of the way things always go when I do this, there will be some stuff that probably appears in that I didn't even know was going to get mentioned. It's just popped into my head and seems relevant. So that is the aim in a concise form of the course. There's going to be a lot of, it's not just talking, there's going to be lots of doing meditation. There's also going to be some hypnotic elements, because they can help you when it comes to your meditation practice. So today we're going to be going back to basics, looking at what meditation brings to us, the things it can bring to us. So in fact, just before we started, we were chatting about some of that, and was sharing how she's found it great for reducing and eliminating pain, and for boosting positivity. We're going to look at kind of what it is, and I'm always for simplifying. I think if something seems simple, then we're more likely to give it a go. I think meditation is the same thing. Sometimes it's made very complicated, very kind of like, oh, it's all this, that, and the other, and it doesn't have to be. The only part of meditation really that should or could pose a challenge should just be making sure you fit it into every day. That's probably the most difficult part of meditation. The rest of it you've been doing since you were born. So we're going to look at that. We're going to look at different practices that you can do to help improve, help to monitor your meditation. Things to not do, because that's also useful. And we're going to look at postures and poise and breath, and we're going to look at creating spaces for meditation as well. So that's just this lesson, and then next week we'll do something different, and then the third week we'll bring it all together with some other practices that we can use as well. Now, when I first did the I Meditate meditation, we started with this, but I've had it down as a writing exercise, and encourage people to go away and do the writing exercise. And you can still do that. In fact, I would probably recommend it. But I'm also going to take you and guide you through this as a guided visualization. And I'm going to say from the start, because the people that might be watching this that haven't watched one of the meditation sessions with I Meditate before, do not worry, do not stress about the word visualization. I actually try not to use it most of the time, because people sometimes get a bit worried about it, and we can all do it. I've even met people who've been clinically told they can't visualize who can actually visualize. Not everybody sees it like a movie in your mind, but if you can use language, you can visualize. If I say the word dog or cat, you know what I'm thinking about. Even if you're not seeing an image of it, you know what the word means. And to do that, your mind is checking that word with the image it has of the cat or the dog, even if you're not consciously aware of it. So whenever you're asked to picture, visualize, or imagine, You're just being asked to think about the thing however you do it. There is no right or wrong way. So, I'm actually going to have to get a drink because my throat's itching. Just bear with me a moment. There we go. So let's look at the first exercise that we're going to do. And like I said, I'd encourage you to do this as a written exercise, but I'm also going to guide you through it. And if you've done work with me before, you'll know I've used this same approach for other things as well. But I really think, especially when you're trying to get focus, when you're trying to see where you want to go, this is one of the best exercises you can do. So with this, I want you to think about, picture yourself as your ideal version of you meditating, or if you imagine yourself as the world's greatest meditator, if that's how you want to approach it. Keep it real, don't see yourself levitating, things like that. And what you can do is for the written exercise, you look at you imagine yourself as the ideal you that meditates. Not the perfect meditation, there is no such thing, but the ideal you that meditates. And you start off with where. Where are you going to be meditating? What's around you? Like for me, whenever I do this, I usually end up in one of two places. I'm either in a beautiful woodlands with the sun shining and speckling down through the trees, or I'm on a beach. Either or works for me, or on the cliffs by the sea so I can hear the sea. So when you're writing this, locate the ideal place you'd love to be meditating. Write it down. Why? Also write down why. What feeling does it give you being in that place? Always good to tie in the feelings. Look at what you're wearing. We'll cover this. I'll cover it now. When you're meditating, you should be wearing loose, comfy clothes. That's it. So a pair of jogging trousers, like a fleece top, something like that. Nothing clingy, nothing tight that's going to dig in whilst you're sat there, because that's going to be a distraction. So write down what you're wearing. Again, go into the colours. Why are you wearing those colours? Why are you wearing those things? How do they make you feel? And then go through and imagine your session. Imagine that session and what your approach is, what you're doing, what your experience is. And obviously at this point you're going to be making this experience up. But again, write about the emotion of it, not just, and I'm sat there and I levitate out of my mind into global consciousness and meet Santa Claus. Whatever it is that comes out, don't. Make sure you put why. What's the emotion? How's that making you feel? What is it you're gaining from that? And then write about, as you come out of that session, how you're feeling, what it's done for you, what it's given you, why that's important to you, and really go into the detail, the emotion, and the drives behind why you're doing that. Once you've done that, might take half an hour. Roll it up, fold it up, however you do it, stick it in a cupboard somewhere, under the pillow, on a bookshelf, leave it for about a week. And in leaving it for about a week, kind of don't really think about it, just set yourself a reminder to just check in on it in about a week's time. And when you do, just look at what you've put. Some of it will not be possible right now. Like it's, in my ideal world, I'd be getting up every morning and going to meditate on a beach. Shropshire being the largest landlocked county makes it very difficult to do that. So I can't do that, but I could put on some music with the sounds of the ocean. I've actually got got it for Christmas. It was a gift from Fee. Indoor water fountain, so I can have the sound of trickling running water whilst I'm meditating, which actually what I think the sea thing is about. It's that sound of flowing water, which really I like very much. So you can start looking at that practice, and You might not be able to be in the location, but maybe you can be in the clothes. Maybe you've been looking online and you saw a meditation, I don't know, an Eastern or a Indian meditation outfit, and you're thinking, oh, I'd love that. Well, make that happen, and wear the things that you, in your ideal you meditating, would be wearing. And try and put in place all those things. If you've got candles in your ideal meditation, well, most of us can sort that one out. If you've got a bit of incense going, whatever's in your descriptive writing, try and create as much as that as you possibly can when you come to doing your meditation sessions. And this just sets us on a good path. It also highlights, we might see things in rereading it that are little hints and tips for us in our practice. You might read it and go, why did I put that I'm sitting on that stool rather than the chair that I was thinking about using? And it might be because unconsciously your mind's gone, now if you're going to be meditating, you're actually going to get a better result if you sat on that stool than you are on the chair. Unconsciously you might not be aware of that, but if you then try it out, give it a go, you can then again put as much of that in place as possible. So that's a practical exercise to do away from that. What I'm going to do now is guide you through another exercise, which is kind of working on a similar premise. But you don't have to write it, you just have to listen and follow. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to have a fidget, get comfortable, and we're going to take 3 deep breaths together. Now what I want you to do is, as you breathe in, open your eyes. First time, open them really wide. I'm always very conscious of how daft I look when I do that on a screen. But hey, so you open them really wide, and as you breathe out, you allow your eyes just to gently close at the pace of your breathing. Take a second deep breath in, you open your eyes just to a normal kind of level. And then as you breathe out, you allow your eyes to close. Allow yourself to relax. Then on the third breath, barely open them, just enough so you can kind of almost just barely see the world through your eyelashes. And then let them close and relax and go within. And I noticed there that Sally, the moment she saw we had to make big eyes, switched the camera off. I don't blame you. I, on the other hand, have no choice. So, have a fidget, you get comfortable. And we'll begin by taking those 3 deep breaths. Breathing in, eyes open. Out, and eyes closed. Just gently and slowly as you relax. Second breath, breathing in. Eyes reopen, just about half-mast, so to speak, and then gently close. And the third breath, barely opening those eyes. Allowing them to close now. And there's nothing to do. Just relax. The more you relax, the better you will feel, and the better you feel, the more you can relax now with every moment, every breath, and every word that I speak, just letting go. And I don't know how you do that, and you may not know consciously how you do that allows you now to notice that relaxation growing, but I want you to become aware of that place within you that feels most comfortable and most still. That's right. And as you become aware of that, allow that sensation, that feeling to spin and flow within you. Spinning and flowing within you, and keep it moving, keep it flowing as you go deeper into this now. And as that sensation of stillness, of comfort continues to flow, to spin, I wonder just how deep you can go as I guide you through into this next part. And I want you to become aware of a place that you associate with peace, with stillness, with calm. Might be somewhere you've been, or it might be somewhere that you just think would be a beautifully calm and peaceful place. But just be there now, seeing the things you see, hearing the things you hear, sensing that calm peace within you and all around you. And as you're sensing that calm peace within you and all around you, I want you to drop down from that feeling of peace and calm to a level deeper than this. Just sinking down now. That's right. And notice that deeper sense of peace and calm. I wonder what it tells you, what it lets you know about the things that will allow you to find that deep peace, that calmness within you, when you look at it from here rather than there. And as you connect with that sense of deep peace, I want you to drop and drift down to another level, another place beneath that. A place of stillness and deep, deep peace. Just doing that now, just dropping down for me. To a place of deep peace and calm, a deep peace and stillness that is yours, it always has been. And as you're there, in that place, I want you to imagine, picture in your mind's eye there before you, yourself as a master meditator. Somebody who has mastered the art of meditation and who can go deeply within to observe your true self, to see the truth in life, to channel wisdom and insight. See that you, the enlightened you, able to meditate in any place at any time, to explore the inner realms and expand awareness out to the stars and beyond. Notice what that you is wearing. Notice if that you is sat or standing, and whichever it is, what is the posture? What posture, how does that you hold your body? Notice how that you breathes, how that you moves. Listen for how that you speaks. Really be there with that you now. See, hear everything. Sense everything that makes you that amazing master of meditation. And now drift into that you, float into that you. Try that new you on like a new set of clothes. See how that you sees. Hear how that you hears. Feel how that you feels. Know and understand everything that allows you to be that you now. That's right. And in a moment, we're going to return back up. And I want you to bring with you every insight, every understanding, every resource from that you, that master of meditation you. Even if you're not consciously aware of all that that is yet, bringing that back up with you. As you rise up, bringing everything, bringing that you back up to that level above, that deep calm, that deep peace, and just looking at that level with the eyes of that new you that can master meditation easily, effortlessly, doing everything you need to get the most from every meditation session you ever practice from now on. And now, drifting back up to that special place, that place that we started to imagine early on, where you sense calm and peace, wherever that is for you, being there now. And experiencing that place as that you that is the master meditator, an adept in the art of meditation. And notice how that feels now. How things can seem and look different, how things can sound different. Having connected with that part of you that can meditate. And you will discover that you really can do this and get a lot from it, making meditation a friend that journeys with you for the rest of your life. As you're aware of that sense of still, that calm and comfort spinning within you. Just taking a nice breath in and breathing back out, and becoming aware of the space around you, aware of your body, where you're sitting or lying, back here, back now in this time and place. And when you're ready to continue on with this journey of meditation, to become that adept, that master of meditation in your life, then, and when you're ready to do that and feel good, open your eyes, be here, and be here now. Okay. So if you look up what is meditation, you'll find many, 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 many different explanations, and it can be confusing. And some definitions of meditation make it sound completely unattainable. Others make it sound like some deep religious or spiritual experience. Others make it sound quite mundane. And I think at its very simplest, meditation is a state of being where your body is relaxed and your mind is alert and focused, and yet relaxed. Because in meditation, we're just, rather than trying to juggle 101 thoughts and jumping from here and here, we're picking one thing to focus on. So suddenly, rather than carrying 101 shopping bags, the brain can just go, just one thing, that's great. But as with meditation and actually with hypnosis, there is a level of alertness. When you're kind of in hypnosis, we talk about the unconscious mind. But there's nothing unconscious about a state of meditation or hypnosis. Your body relaxes, but your mind is alert. The biggest difference is we're not focusing out here. Out here, there are 101 distractions. If I just sit here now, there are so many things that could distract me. terrible one, worst one in the world for everybody nowadays: mobile phone. You know, there's books which are great and I love them, and in a way, if you really get into a book, it's a little bit like a meditation because you're just focusing on the one thing. But there's books, there's music to be listened to, there's so many just in one room. So with meditation, we're turning our focus inwards and becoming aware of who we are more. And when we do that, when I did this talk yesterday, I started it by asking people to imagine, because we've all done it, have we not, where you're sat there and you're out and about somewhere and there's a pool. We've all probably been by a lovely pool somewhere and it's calm and it's still and there's a beautiful blue sky and you gaze into the water, and the water's so clear you can see it all the way down to the bottom. If there's any little fish swimming, that's my impression of little fish, by the way. Any little fish swimming around there, you can watch and follow them. If anyone's dropped anything in there, you can see it clearly beneath the surface. But just as clearly as you shift your focus slightly, you can also see your own reflection. You can see yourself like a mirror, and you can see the reflection of the world around you. So if there's trees nearby and if the water's still enough, you can see those reflected. The blue that water takes on is the reflection of the sky. So it's amazing. It's so peaceful, it's so still and clear. And then someone's dog goes and jumps in it, churns up the mud, water's going like this, and suddenly you can't see the bottom, you can't see what's in it, you can't see a reflection of what's going on around you, you certainly can't see yourself. And that's pretty well what modern day life does for us. It churns up the waters of our experience of who we are. Distractions, stresses, strains, worries, all of it churns up those waters. But meditation, by entering into that relaxation and that alertness of mind, allows us to start to still those waters. And when we still those waters, we can see more clearly what our life is about, who we are, what we're about. It helps us then make better, more informed choices, because if you don't really know what you're about, if you don't know who you are, how can you make a choice that is an informed choice if you can't see clearly enough? So it really brings an awareness of self and a centering of self. And if you carry that on, as most schools of meditation do, to its ultimate, that, and when we get to that awareness of our true self, we realize that it's emptiness. There's a nothingness. There's just whatever that was, whatever that is. And I think it tends to be a slightly different experience for everyone. So meditation is great for finding inner peace. It's great for our well-being. As I said before, we were chatting about how it can help before things like operations and that, because if the body's relaxed, you're more likely to respond well. That's why the NHS with Reiki at the moment are starting to incorporate it into certain hospitals. They're not necessarily agreeing that it's an energy thing, as Reiki practitioners would say, but what they have noticed is the great level of relaxation that people have when they receive Reiki, and that relaxation really helps promote wellness and healing. People who are relaxed tend to heal quicker, they tend to recover quicker, they tend to not have to stay in hospital so long, and meditation can bring all this to us. So it helps with our well-being, our healing, in our day-to-day, with work, with our lives, with the tasks we have. It can make us more productive. It gives us clarity, as I said already, focus. The more we meditate, the more able we are to deal with stressful situations. We're able to kind of be that calm person in the storm of everything that's going on around. It helps our problem solving because we can focus and we can explore problems and challenges from a place of stillness and calm, from a place of clarity, which enables us then to see many perspectives and many different ways of looking at things. And it can also help us, if we choose to, answer those bigger questions in life, like, who am I? What is this all about? And by stripping away the layers of ego and conditioning and everything else as we do when we meditate regularly, we get better clarity on those questions. And I don't think anyone ever truly gets the right answer. Everyone's still looking for it. But it really helps. It really helps us feel better as who we are. When we approach our meditation, there is a couple of things that can really help. One, and I know I think I've explained this before when it comes to hypnosis, but the same applies to actually the same applies to almost anything you do, is to have a sense when you meditate, when you're doing anything really, that you're playing a game. Treat it like you're playing a game. Now, you can be really dedicated to a game, but at the end of the day, it's a game. It's about fun. It's about enjoyment. It's about experience. If you take it too seriously, you're creating obstacles for yourself. But if you can approach your meditation as a game, there are no winners. There are no losers. Amanda, who was the yoga instructor, who was doing a talk before I did yesterday, she said pretty well the same thing with yoga. If you're in a yoga class, it's not a competition. It's, treat it as a game. Do not compare yourself with the person next to you who's been doing it for 10 years and can fold their foot up round the back of their head and scratch their nose with their big toe. Don't compare that with that person. This is your own journey. You do what you do. If you can only do like a downward dog with your legs bent and yourself at a slight angle, that's fine, because it's about your journey. It's about how you gradually get better and better and better. It's not about, I'm not as good as them. And it's the same with meditation. There are no winners, no losers. It is just a game. And its reward is just the joy of the experience it gives you. That's it. Whatever that experience is for you. There are some experiences with meditation that are more collective experiences, but inevitably your experience of meditation is your experience. And you'll find that your practice comes on really well when you can value that and trust your experience of meditation is the right experience for you. Looking at practical things we can do when we're learning meditation, a really good practice and habit to get into, and some of you may already do this with other things already, and I know I've suggested it with other things, but with meditation it's really good to keep a journal. Simple journal. You don't need much other than your date, your time and your place. So date, time and place where you've been practicing meditation. What you did. Were you doing mantras? Were you focusing on an image? Were you breathing? Were you visualizing? Was it a guided meditation? All the different possibilities. What you did. How you felt before you started your practice that day, and how you felt afterwards. And I would say out of all the bits that you do on a journal, those are the two bits that are most important. Any images or insights that came to you. The purpose of meditation is not to experience insights. It's not to have great, amazing imaginings and visions. They happen and they come up, and it's good to note them, but don't kind of go, what's the deeper meaning of this and this, that, and the other. These are just products of your mind. And if you start focusing on them as being the outcome, you're going to be missing a lot more with meditation. So any insights and images that do come to you, and they will, jot them down, but don't attach to them. You can always go back and read them, but don't hold on to them. And finally, just anything else that pops into your mind. So maybe you were meditating and there was some noise outside, but you noticed in that session that even though there's noise outside, it didn't bother you. Didn't distract you like maybe it has done in the past. That's something worth noting. It's a nice little note to make. And so you do this every time you meditate. But like I said, the most important bit is that feeling before and after. One of the golden rules with keeping a journal with meditation is do not by any way compare yesterday's session with today's session. Never do it. I mean, you can look at what worked and what didn't, and that's why you write down what you did every day, because there might be a practice that you find really works for you after a little while, and you can identify that with a journal, so it makes sense to do more of that. Or maybe go, well, okay, I need to work on this bit. So it acts like a bit of a mentor to you, because you can see your strengths and weaknesses, but do not compare one day with another. The reason we don't is very simple. On a Monday, say you've got up, you've gone into work, it's Monday, all the stuff that builds up, there's 101 emails to deal with, there's this problem, that problem, such and such hasn't turned up, so this needs covering, and Mondays can be quite a stressful day for people back at work. And so you finish your day, you get home, and you get to your point, you're like, oh, meditation, at last. And you go into your meditation, and you come out of it, and you're feeling better than you did before. You're kind of, feeling quite relaxed now. Is in your journal. Tuesday, your boss phones up, says you can have the day off. They'll pay you, but they don't need you to come in today. So you decide to go for a walk. You go catch up with a friend, have a bite to eat. You get to the evening, you do your meditation, and you go, at the end of it, that was amazing. I feel so good, so chilled out and relaxed. You may have relaxed and got more from Monday's session because your stress was up here than you did on Tuesday, when your stress was only a little bit, if any, because you'd had a nice day. So although Tuesday's result felt a lot more, Monday's practice actually may have given you more in as far as reducing the stress levels. So you don't compare Monday with Tuesday, because they're completely different days. There are different things influencing you in that day. The only thing you ever compare is how you feel at the beginning of your session and how you feel at the end. So if you're feeling a bit tense and stressed at the beginning of it, but by the end you're like, I feel good for that. Write that down. Be realistic. We're not always going to feel amazing after our meditations. Sometimes, especially earlier on, we find ourselves distracted, or something's going on that's just a bit too bigger than normal that keeps dragging our attention away. And it's not unheard of to get frustrated. But it is worth continuing on. At the moment that I meditate, obviously we're doing the 46-day challenge, and I notice, I've been meditating all my life, but having this practice every morning, I'm noticing after we've got about 2 weeks left now, and I'm noticing how much centered together and how much more I'm just getting done each day. The only thing that's changed is I've made that commitment to that. There are some mornings where, because we're here in High Street, there'll be noise outside. So I'm still meditating, but I'm also having to think about how I'm sharing it, and so I can be a bit like, dog barked in the middle of the session or whatever, and so that can feel a little frustrating. But it's still worth recording those things, because it will teach you the things to try and avoid, teach you how to do things a little different. So if you find you've got 2 or 3 sessions in a row where you've come out of it feeling more frustrated than anything else, you can look at your journal and go, what is it that I'm doing that if I just change that one thing will make a difference? You just change something. Maybe the ocean wave CD that you thought would be really nice and relaxing is actually a frequency that's actually slightly grating on you, and you might not realize it because it's meant to be relaxing, but sometimes these things do. So journal, definitely journal. There we go. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff there. All that stuff will help though. Having an idea of what you're doing meditation for can help. If all you want to do is use meditation as a bit of a relaxation, then there's no point you kind of exploring deep, intense Buddhist meditation practices. You can do, but if all you want to do is use it as a way to wind down at the end of the day, then you don't really need to be exploring stuff unless you're interested in it that isn't necessarily where you're heading. However, if you are coming to meditation partly for the well-being but also for the spiritual growth, the personal development, then yes, there are other areas in meditations to look at, and just having that in mind beforehand can just save you a lot of time. And also, if you're a bit of a book person like me, it can save you quite a lot of money, because there's nothing worse than going, right, I'm going to get into this thing and buying lots of books all about the thing, to then go, actually 2/3 of that doesn't interest me whatsoever. And if I'd only had an idea at the beginning why I was getting into this, I don't do that, by the way. I do actually go, what am I wanting from this, which is why I've got the books I've got. But yeah, so having an idea of what you want from your practice is always a good thing. And if it is just, the one thing I love about meditation is if you come to it just for the relaxation side of it, and you do it regularly, the self-knowledge side of it, that insight and understanding side of it happens anyway. You can't escape it, but it's all good. It's all good. So we're going to look at what makes a basically simple, good meditation practice. Now, if you've been doing the 46-day meditation sessions, which I know Sally has, and I think Anne's been watching as well, this is what we've been doing. But we'll break it down, because in there we go into it. We'll go into it a little bit more, and then we'll do some practice together. So, I'm going to skip that bit up to there as well. When it comes to your meditation session, you ideally want to give yourself 20 minutes. Doesn't mean you're necessarily meditating for all that time. And you can, as you get into it, make it longer. Or like with the morning ones we're running at the moment, on a Sunday, because people tend to have a bit more time, that one's made longer for people. So it can be really good to plan a weekly meditation plan and then to stick to it. Ideally, in an ideal world, you would practice at the same time every day. First thing in the morning is a great time to practice. Later on in the day can be good, but like in the evening, if it's too late and you're tired, then you're going to have that little bit of a struggle between, and I've done it where I'll do some meditation, but it's like on 10 o'clock at night, and I'm there and I'm really relaxing, and next thing I know, my head's nodded, and so morning tends to be a better time. Certainly from the Taoist perspective, the energies in the world are best for meditation at dawn. You're kind of in that kind of equal balance of day and night. So make a plan and be realistic. If you've got a job, if you know you've got this and this, and that's going to be busy, and sometimes you get delayed in traffic, don't make yourself an impossible meditation schedule. If you know realistically Wednesdays are really hectic, so you're only going to get 5 minutes in, just do 5 minutes. But plan it. If on a weekend, Saturday, Sunday, you know you've got longer and you can do it, make them some longer sessions. I'll do half an hour. But make it realistic, make it achievable. When we plan things, and even people do this with goals, they set out these goals and they break it into steps. And if you make the step too big, you can't get up it. So plan a simple schedule for the week. Next session, we'll be looking at micro mini meditations as well, which you can kind of just drop in anywhere. However, look at realistically where you can fit meditation into each day, and then just write it up, stick it on the fridge, stick it by the bed. That's your first step. Then we move into kind of, where are you going to do this? Where are you going to meditate? You want a place that, ideally we'd all have like some exotic temple in a forest, or a beachside hut, or a mountain top, or whatever it is that floats our kind of spiritual longings. However, realistically, most of us live in houses pretty well with other houses nearby. So if you've got a garden, it can be nice when the weather's nice to be out in the garden and meditate. You do have to then think about noises round about. But the best thing to do is to create a little corner somewhere, a little place. Like here in the office, this is the work end of the office, but at that end is where I do the morning videos from, and that's got my water fountain, a candle, it's got my little bonsai tree, and that's that corner. And the more I use that corner for meditation, the more it gets associated with meditation. And for when we've talked about anchoring is the connection of a feeling, a thought, or a behavior to a certain trigger. And it's really good when we're practicing meditation to set up some of these anchors. So having a set place, a set spot in your house where you go to do your meditation creates an anchor, because then after a little while, every time you move into that space, your mind goes, without you having to think of it, this is the place where I relax and calm down and just take some time. Your mind will start creating those feelings for you just at the thought of being in that space. So when you anchor your practice to a space, certainly in the earlier days of practicing meditation, it really helps build that association and helps you get more from the sessions. Because the other side of that is, if you're out and about somewhere and you can't make it to that corner, if you've built up that association of being able to meditate in that space, there's nothing stopping you closing your eyes wherever you are. Just imagining yourself like a guided meditation, going and sitting in that space. And then imagine yourself closing your eyes in that space and meditating in that space. And so it becomes not just an outward place where you can meditate, but it becomes a place in your mind that you associate with meditation. And then you can enter into that in your mind wherever you are. Ideally, you don't want it to be too cold, but you also don't want to be too hot, because that can make you feel a bit drowsy. You want to be able to sit comfortably, especially if you're building up your practice. You may start off with just about 5 minutes, but then you build up to like 10, 20. At one point I was doing 2-hour sessions, which when I first started doing was really interesting, because although my mind and everything was fine with that, and the time seemed to go quite quickly really, the problem with that was when I came to move, because at that point I was doing a kneeling posture for meditation, and 2 hours of kneeling in the same posture is, when you step out of that, is the most painful thing ever. And it was intense. It's very good. It was that's something we might do actually, because that was a practice where you are aiming to be as completely still and not moving as possible. That goes down to swallowing, even to the point of making your breath so gentle, so soft that it doesn't really feel like you're moving. And the moment you do move, or you notice a movement, you have to start again. And it's an interesting practice. So find a spot where you're not going to be disturbed. Somewhere where you can sit comfortably, either on a chair or on the floor on cushions. You may want to decorate it. Like I said, I've got my table with my bonsai and the candle and the water fountain. There's music in here as well, so I can put some music on if I want some music for my meditation. And make it your space. And if you live with other people, just tell them, that's my space. Make sure they get that's my space. If you want to sit in it and meditate, you can sit in it and meditate, but that's what I want to use that bit for. You know, even if it's a Harry Potter thing, a cupboard under the stairs, doesn't matter. Actually, it could be quite good as long as no one walks up and down it. So find a space. You can decorate it. You can kind of put some pictures up. You can put plants. You can whatever makes you. If you go back to your ideal meditation session, you might see ideas there. So again, if you like the thought of meditating in a forest, for instance, where by a wonderful running stream, can't do that every day, but you could find a really nice picture that is like, oh, there, if I could do it there, that would be brilliant. Frame the picture, put it on the wall. Yeah, and then you've got that, it's there. You're not physically there, but you can think about it. And the thing to remember is when we're imagining things, there's a part of our brain that doesn't know the difference between our imagining it and actually experiencing it. So if you've got a picture up and you sit down, light a candle, say, and you've got a little bit of music on, maybe some bird song, in fact, and you've got your picture there of the forest and the stream, and you're sat there, just the association of that image and the sounds will start to trigger the feelings as though you were even there. It might not be as intense, but they'll be there, which will help you with your practice. So create a space, ideally a space that stays permanently that, but sometimes that's not practical. So you can do things like, well, I did it a bit back, I've got a little meditation stool. I don't think that's what it was, I think it was a footrest originally, but it's really just the right height to sit on. It takes a little bit of pressure off knees if you're cross-legged because they're not quite so flat down. And I can use that. And I could put that anywhere in the house or even outside. Or you might want to maybe just find a little rug, like a rag rug or something that you kind of go, well, I can't have a permanent space. You get different prayer mats as well, which are really good because you roll it up, it takes up no space whatsoever, and you just unroll it and sit on it for when you do your meditation. So create a space, or if you can't have a permanent space, have something that creates almost a ritual of setting up a space, which could be as simple as unrolling a certain rug or even a yoga mat. At the end of the day, every time I unwind my yoga mat, place it there, that's me meditating. So you find your place, you find your space. You may want to sit on the floor, cross-legged if you want, kneeling if you want. Kneeling is I will say is painful unless you're used to it, so I wouldn't recommend it. There are lots of postures for meditation. Sitting on a chair is perfectly fine. When people find out you're a hypnotist, they say, oh, can you make me cluck like a chicken? If you say you meditate, they often say, oh, bet you can fold your legs around your head. And it's completely unnecessary. We're not doing yoga, we're doing meditation. And so a chair where you can sit that's got a support on the back, which is good, comfy. You don't want to be sitting there and kind of legs and everything going numb. Check in on the height of your chair. Certain chairs, if you're a bit too low, can start cutting off the circulation. You end up with pins and needles in your toes. So play around with it. If you have a chair that's your favourite chair that you kind of always go to sleep in, reading a book or watching the TV, don't use that one. Because the likelihood is when you first start, you're going to repeat the practice because you've anchored the going to sleep to the chair. So you've got your place, you've got a chair to sit on, and you're ready to go. You've told everyone, or if people are out, pick the times when they're out, because then you've got the house to yourself. You've created the space, you've created the time, you've got your journal. If you've got a permanent space, it's nice to leave your journal there with a pen, so it's just really easy afterwards to pick it up and write. So then we start, and we start with making sure we're sitting in the correct posture. I know some people can't sit for any length of time. If you're lying down, we'll cover that in a minute. Correct posture is a straight back, not forced, not kind of like this, because if you force yourself up to hold a stiff back, I mean, I would have just started doing it. I can start things starting to ache already. You just want to be sitting comfortable. The main thing is that you can breathe freely. The best way I find for getting the right posture for meditation is, imagine you are a marionette puppet, you know, one of the string puppets, and you've got a string attached to the top of your head. And if you do, and I will actually sometimes, if I'm feeling a bit crooked, I'll actually grab a little point on the top of my head, pull the hair a little bit, and then just relax everything beneath it. And if you do that, so as everything, imagine everything's hanging from that point, that pretty well puts you in the right posture. They do that in Qigong and Tai Chi as well to get the right posture. And you want everything lined up. If you manage the top of your head lining up with the passageways for breathing all the way down to the base of your spine, just nicely relaxed. Sitting there. And you can even practice just the posture, you know, depending on how dedicated you want to be. Just practice that posture, and you'll know there's a certain anchored steadiness that comes when you get just the right posture. It feels like solid and good. Hands resting, you can either cup them in your lap, kind of like this, or you can just rest them on your legs or on your knees, palms down. I prefer palms up. I don't know why, I've always just done it that way, and I find I get more from my meditation when I do that. I guess there's a sense of being open if my palms are up, whereas down here I feel like I'm readying myself for something if they're palm down. So nice posture. If you're lying down, the main rule again is don't restrict your breathing. So if you imagine, if I turned sideways, if I was lying down, I had a pillow there, and I was lying like that, suddenly I'm cramping up my breathing, I can't breathe freely. And that's what I want. You need to take the pillow out of the way, or prop yourself up so as you're at more of a reclined angle so you can still breathe freely. And that's it for posture. You don't need any of the fancy postures, you don't need anything else. You just need to be able to sit in a comfortable position for potentially anything up to a couple of hours if you're really going for it. I mean, some people do all day. I've never done all day meditation. It is actually something I would like to do, and just literally sit there all day and just 6-7 hours. It would be amazing. But I also know it would also be painful because our bodies, especially as you get older, start stiffening up a bit. So back straight, breathing freely. If you are sitting upright, then eyes either closed or gazing down with the head, chin tucked in slightly. So you imagine if you're sat, just try and position yourself as though you're looking about 6 foot in front of you onto the floor. And that gives just really, it just feels good. You genuinely play around with it because you'll know when you find it. Everything just seems to settle in place, and it's just really nice. With meditation, there's 2 lines of thought when it comes to, because if you're sitting in any one position and holding it still for any length of time, inevitably, just like I've had to shift now on the chair, things start becoming numb, things can ache, things can feel a bit strained. You can possibly get a bit of cramp or pins and needles, especially if you're not used to it. And one line of thought is that you should sit there, grin and bear it, and ride the wave of it until it bothers you no longer. And I know there are benefits from that, because that practice I told you about where I was sitting completely still does that exact thing, and it is amazing. But that takes some dedication, because it really can become uncomfortable. And the danger is that pain, that discomfort is a distraction, and you're training yourself to be still and meditate. You're not training yourself to be distracted. And so it's a real challenge to do that way. The Taoist approach, which is one I recommend for everyone, is if it itches, scratch it. If it hurts, stretch it. If you've got to get up and walk around because your leg's going dead, get up and walk around and then get back to your practice. Because that minute out to get yourself comfortable again is better than weeks of sitting there trying to ride out pain and discomfort. So I would definitely 100% recommend, if something itches, if something stretches, I've run group stuff, and I actually remember the very first group meditation I ever went along to, and halfway through it I got a tickle in my throat, and the rest, I was really enjoying the meditation. It was a guided meditation and I was really enjoying it, and then I got this tickle in my throat, and then I just spent the rest of that session trying not to cough. I was getting nothing from that meditation after that point. If I'd have just gone I could get back to meditating. Same with our thoughts, don't pay any attention to them. If they disturb you, just go, all right, okay, get back to it. And you're more likely, especially when you're learning, you're more likely to continue a practice if you know that, if your foot goes dead, you can massage your toes for a bit, or you need to walk around, you can walk around. So give yourself permission. If something's uncomfortable, move and then just carry on with your practice. And our basic practice is, and again, if you've been doing the mornings, you've heard me say this, our basic practice is nothing that you have not always been able to do all your life, and no one actually had to ever teach you any one of these three things. Breathing, you've been able to do it since you were born. Focusing, pretty well been able to do it since you were born. I think it takes a few days before you start, but no one ever taught you how to do it. You just picked it up yourself. Breathing, focusing and relaxing. Every time you go to bed, every time you go to sleep, you are relaxing. Every time you forget yourself for a while and get distracted and daydream, you are relaxing. So those three things combined give us everything we need for meditation. And if you spent the whole of the rest of your life just doing that, sitting, being still, breathing, focusing, and the focus is the breath, the relaxation kind of comes naturally anyway, you would have an effective and beneficial meditation practice. That's it. Meditation does not get made any easier than that. So let's go into that. Let's go into that basic practice. We'll do some together. So getting comfortable, there's a few other things you can do which we'll talk about whilst we're doing them. So have a fidget, get comfortable. And making sure you've got a reasonably good posture there. Again, like I say, you don't want anything that's going to be uncomfortable. Don't force it. It's all about relaxing. Like I say, this whole kind of imagine you're being suspended from the top of your head really helps you sink into a good posture. Really just like that. So holding that there, or if you're lying down. Before you start your meditation practice, tell yourself, I am going to meditate. You're giving yourself permission. You're saying this is the time for doing it. It also works over time like a suggestion or an affirmation. So your unconscious mind will take that on board too. So start every session with, I am going to meditate. I'm going to relax. You can say it out loud, or you can just think it to yourself. And then there are certain things that can get in the way for people. One is thoughts. And if you've done anything with me before, you've probably heard me say, if you're thinking, good. The only time as a human being you don't think is when you're dead. And none of us want to get there anytime soon. So give those thoughts permission to be there. Give sounds round about you permission to be there. And quite soon they are no longer a distraction. Because you've said that's all right, you acknowledge it, there will be noise, there might be thoughts, and that's okay, they're just not going to bother me. So you set your session up, I'm going to relax. I'm going to meditate. Outside noises will not distract me. Everyday thoughts will not disturb me. They help me go deeper. So not are you only acknowledging that they're there, but you're acknowledging the fact that if they do appear, they're going to help you get more out of your session. It's a wonderful, suggestive affirmation, statement of intent at the beginning of your session. And then you just go into it. So let's do this. Sitting comfortably. Sometimes it helps to take just a couple of deep breaths beforehand, just to kind of just to go, right, this is that time. Draws a line. Breathing out. And then just tell yourself, I'm going to relax. I am going to meditate. Outside noises will not disturb me. Everyday thoughts will not distract me. It all helps me go deeper. And now just very relaxed, just focus on your breath and observe it and watch it. Sense it and feel it, hear it as it goes up through the nostrils. Slow, deep breathing. Up through the nostrils, down into the lungs, filling the lungs. If you imagine you're breathing into the base of your belly or even into your feet, it will naturally help you take a deeper breath. Follow that breath as it moves in. And then follow it again as it moves all the way back out. Breathing in. And out. You don't want to force the deep breathing, just gentle, slow, deep breathing. And if you want something to aim for the point where you can no longer hear yourself breathing because it is so gentle. If you have a thought, that's okay, treat it like a friend. Open the doors for it, let it come and go. Just don't serve it tea. Don't engage with it, just let it go. Just continue following the breath. If your mind wanders, that's okay, don't give yourself a hard time, just come back to the practice. You can discover how all of it can help you relax, to focus within. And continue on, just following the breath. Just a little while longer. There really is nothing to do. Just breathe and watch it. Follow it. And slowly bring yourself back. When you're ready to continue, just open your eyes, feeling good. And if you're watching this for the first time, you've never had a go at meditation before, you might think, is that it? But yes, that is it. However, the more you do it, it becomes so much more, even though you're just doing that basic thing. And if you practice a bit every day, like any exercise, the benefits will grow and grow. They really do. From a more positive attitude to clarity to more energy. It takes a lot of energy to be stressed and tense all the time. Meditation releases that stress and tension, which then gives you more energy. So you've got your place to meditate, you've got your journal, you've got your music, whatever you want. You're going to talk about those a little bit in a moment. And you're all ready to go. You've done your first practice and you start practicing. There will be obstacles, but they're not really. They don't have to be. So we're going to look at some of the obstacles that come up, some of the more common ones, and how you can adapt and move with them. When I learned to be a hypnotist, one of the greatest lessons that I learned was that anything at all can be used to hypnotize someone. Absolutely anything. And if you take that attitude with meditation, it can really free you up from some of the obstacles that come up. I've already hinted at one of them, but we'll go back onto it. Thoughts. We all have thoughts. And when you first practice meditation, there's this idea of, I've got to empty my mind. Again, you cannot empty your mind. But have you ever been watching the TV or listening to a radio and somebody started a conversation and you've got into that conversation, and during the time of that conversation, you don't hear what's going on in the music. It disappears into the background. Or that person that you're having a conversation with, and as much as you feel bad about it, it's really not interesting you, so your mind drifts off somewhere else, and then you miss what they say. It's not that they've gone, it's not that you've emptied them out, it's just for a while what they're saying isn't bothering you. And that's the same with our thoughts. We can't slow or stop the train of thoughts, but we can learn to focus on something different that then allows those thoughts to eventually just drift into the background so they don't bother us. However, sometimes we might have a persistent thought in our practice that just keeps coming back. And sometimes it's not even the big, serious stuff in life. Sometimes it's the shopping list. Like for me, the one distraction I'll get in the morning is I'll be there, I'll be in it, and all of a sudden what I'm going to do today will start planning itself. And I'm like, hey, this isn't the time to do that. I'm going to do that with a cup of tea in a bit. Shut up. And it happens. I've been meditating since I was about 12, and it still happens. However, One, don't get het up about it. Don't worry about it. Don't stress about it. You know why? Because as much as anything can be used for hypnotic induction, I believe anything can be used for meditation. Meditation, back to its definition, a state of relaxed body and focused, alert mind. And it's usually focusing on just one thing. It can be a mantra, it can be an image, it can be the breath like we've just done. It can be your shopping list. It doesn't have to be a deep spiritual thing. We have this thing of meditate, I can't think about everyday stuff. If you've got a thought that just isn't going away, like what have I got to do today? What have I got to do today? Make that your meditation. You know, what's the difference between somebody sitting there going, see yourself walking through a woodland, see yourself walking down through the trees, see, you know, a guided meditation, and you walking yourself through the day, what you have to do, but making it the only thing that you focus on to the expulsion of anything else. That then is still meditation. You're following one thing. And that's what we're doing when we meditate. The other way with thoughts, and I hands up on this one, it wasn't that long back that I came across it and started sharing it because I thought it was just genius. If you've got thoughts coming and they're not settling down, ask yourself this question. I wonder what my next thought will be. In fact, try it now. Sit there and just say to yourself, or even say it out loud, I wonder what my next thought will be. And then just watch. Observe what happens. Most of the people, in fact everyone I think I've shared this with, goes, but I've stopped thinking. And I love it for that. And you know what? If you do that, and then a thought starts trickling in, just say it again. I wonder what my next thought will be. And notice that mind, that headspace it creates. And the more you create that headspace, the more you'll know how to get into that headspace. And that is a real key to getting into that mindset. Again, it's not, you're not thinking, your thoughts are going on, but you're just putting your mind elsewhere so they're not bothering you. So that's thoughts. One of the things we have to be careful with meditation is dependency. When we first start up, not everyone teaches this, but I think it's important. When we first start up, like I said, you create your space, you have a place that you associate with meditation, you might use music. The danger is that you get to the point where the only time you can meditate is when you're in that place with that certain piece of music and that certain incense burning. It creates an attachment, and these become the triggers, and suddenly you can't. And nowadays we have to add into that, and it's a bugbear of mine. And I was on a business meeting, networking event the other day, and someone was like, how are you doing? And I was talking about meditation. I said, what gets in the way for people now? I said, apps, meditation apps. We think they're great because it's at the tip of our fingers, yet if you get to the point where the only time you can meditate is when you've got that app, what if that company goes bust? What if your phone dies? You are dependent on that to be able to meditate. Meditation is meant to set you free. We're enslaving ourselves to the relaxation process developed through using our phones. That's not meditation, that's slavery. And I said, so I think apps are a terrible thing when people want to do meditation. And this guy popped up and went, I develop apps. But I don't, they're okay every now and again, but mix it up. Ideally, you should be able to meditate, and I recommend it from day one, to be honest, especially as you now know that anything can be used as your focus for meditation. Learn to meditate in as many places as possible. It's good to have a space when you start off that's quiet and controlled, but as soon as you start getting a feel for it, go into your local park, go and sit on the bench in a busy high street, and make the sounds of the high street your meditation. Again, if all you focus on is those sounds, that's no different than just focusing on a piece of music. It's just a different sound that you're choosing to focus on. So practice, don't get dependent on things to help you meditate, because then you're not free. You're not creating freedom, you're creating an attachment, and if that thing's not there, you may find that then you can't meditate. I met people who've kind of gone, they've always done group meditations, and they can't meditate by themselves because they've only ever done group meditation. What's the point? If you have to have 10 people with you every time you meditate, avoid dependency. One of the things we have to watch out for is resistance. So what tends to happen is people start meditating, and they're all, like we do with anything, it's not just meditation, we're all enthusiastic. And we're all like, yes, I'm going to do this, and that's why we've done the 46-day challenge, to push beyond that. And for a few weeks or whatever, you do it every day, you do it every morning, and then one day your alarm goes off and maybe you're a bit foggy, maybe you didn't sleep so well, and you go, oh, do you know what, I'll give it a miss today, but I'll be back on it tomorrow. That is the first sign of resistance. That is your ego or a part of you going, I'm going to try to resist this process. And what tends to happen then is once we've missed it once, we find it easier then to miss it again. So keep an eye out for any time you're making an excuse not to practice, because that's resistance. It could be that maybe in your meditation practice, because it isn't unheard, that certain emotions, certain realizations come up. And it might be that you're about to just kind of hit a new level where maybe there's a lesson to learn that's coming to you through it. And so there's that resistance. Do I want to go that deep? Do I want to take that next step? And you might not be consciously aware of this, but your unconscious mind will be doing its thing. And so if you notice yourself starting to think about making excuses to not practice, be vigilant. If you ever wanted to talk in biblical terms, that's the moment the devil is tempting you. So if you notice that, make sure you do your practice. The only failed meditation practice is the one that doesn't happen. Yeah. So make sure that you do your practice regularly. I mean, it's different if we're ill. If you're really ill and you're laid up in bed, but even then, well, if you've got a bunged up nose, it's a bit tricky, but you can still work at relaxation. You can still just set your mind to focus. If your head's full of cold, but your foot feels good, right, spend 10 minutes lying in bed just focusing on how good your foot feels. It's still a meditation. You might not be able to do the breathing as well, but you're still going to get benefit from it. So that's dependency, resistance. We've covered physical pain, discomfort. Like I'm sat here now, it's been an hour and a half into this, and my knees are starting to go, what are you doing? Move your legs, will you? Just do. It doesn't look professional on a camera, but if you're practicing at home for your meditation, it doesn't matter. And it's better to move and fidget and reposition yourself and carry on with the practice than it is to lose all benefit because you're sitting there in pain or discomfort. And the final obstacle that people come up against is, and it's more and more in the modern day society, people want that instant fix. I want to be able to do it now. Meditation isn't like that. What happens with meditation quite often is you do it for a little bit, you have some deeply profound experience, and then for the next few months it doesn't feel like you're doing anything. It goes like this. So impatience can get in the way. It doesn't matter about your meditation tomorrow. It doesn't matter about your meditation today. All that matters, yesterday should I say, all that matters is that you do it today. Don't hold on to a goal. Don't hold on to an outcome for it. Just make it part of your day. And make just the joy of doing it all that you need from it. You stick to those things, follow those things, guarantee you will get past those obstacles. There occasionally is other things that come up. Maybe doubt. Doubt is one, where you doubt if it's working, you doubt if you're doing it right. Again, if you're doing it, you're doing it. That's the main thing. You can spend a lifetime trying to do it right, or you can just meditate. Because if you're trying to do it right, you're not meditating. Because when you're meditating, you're literally just following your breath or observing existence. You stop doing. meditation is one of those weird things. You do meditation, but the moment you're doing meditation, you're not meditating, which is a bizarre thing to get your head around, but it's true. So, where are we at? Let me just... Okay, perfect. I'm going to do mini meditations next week. So that's where we go next. Just a couple of more things to cover for today's session. There's tons of this. Okay, it's all flowing out. It's all right though, isn't it? I know, we don't mind that. In fact, I was teaching this very thing yesterday at an art workshop talk at a Mind Body Spirit Fair. One of the ways that we can speed up our ability to relax into meditation is through practicing the basic fundamentals of self-hypnosis. And when I first started I Meditate, I trained as a meditation teacher, so obviously also trained as a hypnotist and hypnotherapist. And for a long time I thought that there really isn't much of a difference between the two. And so therefore one practice should be able to inform the other and help. And the one thing that I introduced, and because when we started I Meditate, it was just kind of something for people to belong to, and I was honest with it, experimented. I tried out things where we're going, okay, well this is actually a hypnosis thing that we're going to use here, but it will help. And I think they did. I'm pretty sure they did. People would be like, I can't relax. And then we do some self-hypnosis technique or a little hypnosis technique, and when they're relaxed, they go, oh yeah, I'm relaxed. But once you've done it, sometimes we can all relax. We forget about how to sometimes. I think more than anything else, we forget how to. Life can be so stressed, so pressured, that tense becomes the normal, and we forget how to just step down a bit. And so I'm going to share two practices. Well, one will just be a meditation to finish the session off today. But this I taught yesterday, and I know I've taken people through it in the past as well, but I personally think it's one of the best things you can do to help your meditation practice. So you're going to need to rest your arm on the desk somewhere in front of you. So you can just let it sit there nice and heavy. If it's on the desk, you want it so your palms on the table. If you've not got a desk, you can just rest it on your leg, in fact. It doesn't have to be on the desk, but just so your arm's sitting comfortable. I'm going to hold mine here so you can see it. I wouldn't normally do it like this. Although you could, now I think about it. In fact, we might even, I say I'm we'll experiment with that one in a minute. But let's go with the planned one first. Placing that hand on the desk, and just, what I want you to do is pick a spot on the back of the hand. It's a problem, isn't it, when you're doing lots of relaxation going in and out. Suddenly you're like, oh yeah. Pick a point on the back of the hand, just focus on it. And I don't know how you can do this, but when it happens, you'll know. I want you to just look at a point on the back of the hand and start telling your arm from the shoulder to the elbow to the wrist to the tips of the fingers to just relax. And I don't know what that's like for you. Whether you see it in your mind, your arm relaxing so much that it's like a rag doll from the shoulder down. Maybe you feel it. Maybe there's a sensation that starts in the shoulder that slowly melts its way and oozes its way down through the arm into the tips of the fingers. Maybe it starts at the tip of the fingers and works its way back up. Or maybe it's almost like a serenade. Maybe there's a sound that you associate with that as it relaxes. But whatever it is that allows you to relax that arm, really relax it so very deeply that were you to try to lift it, you find you cannot. Just imagine that, what that would be like if your arm was so relaxed that you cannot lift it. And when you're certain that your arm is that relaxed that you cannot lift it, gently test it. Try to lift it. And if you find yourself now trying to lift your arm, but the arm, you kind of know it could lift, but at the same time doesn't seem to want to, then with the hand you can move, just give me a wave at the camera. Marvellous. Congratulations, you have now taken yourself into hypnosis. So if you bring yourself back out, just take a nice deep breath, that arm will move again. Now this is a bit of fun. That's quite. I've been doing that for years for myself, and it still amuses me. And you can talk other people through it and give them an interesting experience. Put your hand on the thing, relax it, and we didn't say much, but the arm relaxes and you can't lift it. How does this work for us for meditation? Well, once that arm relaxes, if you get to the point, and like most people that I meet can do that pretty well straight away. If not, it just takes a bit of practice. When I say that, I mean a few days just doing it every time you have a cup of tea and can sit down and have a go at it. You'll get it in a few days. So you get to that point where your arm's relaxed. You're technically now in a suggestible state of mind. So why not use that? So we're going to do it this time. We're going to relax the arm to the point we cannot lift it. And then we're just going to say to ourselves, when I realize I cannot lift my arm, I'll close my eyes and that relaxation can flow through the rest of my body. That's it. So let's do that. Place the arm on the desk. Relax that arm, pick that spot and just relax that arm now. To the point that you can no longer lift it. And as you're relaxing yourself, just tell yourself, in a moment when my arm is so relaxed that I cannot lift it, I will close my eyes and that relaxation will flow through my body with every breath. When you're certain you cannot lift your arm, try to lift it. And then when it won't lift, allow your eyes to close and allow that relaxation to flow now through your body. Allowing your whole body to feel like an arm that you cannot lift. And if you're noticing that relaxation now, ask yourself a question. I wonder how much deeper into this relaxation I can go now. And then tell yourself, with every breath I take, I will relax even more than this and go within. And you could keep asking yourself, how much deeper than this can I go? And every time you do that, you notice that you can go deeper. I mean, where does that end? You see, you were born with the ability to relax, born with the ability to focus, and you were born with the ability to breathe. And you can bring all of those together now, to allow you, whenever you choose, whenever you set the moment up for yourself, to really relax and go deeper within. So when you're ready to return and really utilize those three wonderful things you've always been able to do, relax, breathe and focus, to help empower your life through meditation. When you're ready to return and really bring that forward into your life, then you can start to come back out, and when you feel like opening your eyes and feeling good, then you can open your eyes and feel good, can you not? Wonderful. Those of you watching the video back, I'm just going to add this bit in. There are certain times where if you're not here, you don't get to have the chats, you see. And one thing that Anne's just raised is that how by doing this regularly, by doing this practice, there comes to a point, and this is what you would hope, that you kind of feel you can step out on your own and you can do this, you can make it, and you realize that you can bring it into your life, and it becomes part of your life. You live it. And we're also talking about how I meditate has been an experiment, and so I'm going to just try an experiment, if that's okay, to finish this session off. Before we do a little meditation to finish, we'll go back to the basic practice. And before we did this thing, and I said, demoing it like this. What I want you to do, and there'll be a way that feels like the right way to do this. I want you to hold your hands up about here and place the hands together. And just become aware of one of the points of contact that you can feel. So it might be where the fingers touching a palm, it may be where palms touching palm, it might be where the thumb's touching. Just become aware of that and make that your focus. And as you're focusing on that now, I don't know when you begin to notice it. Whatever that is that allows your hands in some strange way to feel like they're just one combined piece together. Like one hand fuses to the other hand, like a block of wood. I wonder what that would be like as you notice that now. Whatever that sensation is, that feeling is, that allows those hands to just become conjoined. So were you to try to work out how to separate them, you'd find you could not. You wouldn't be sure whether you pushed, you pulled, you moved forward, you moved back. To the point where your hands would just, even no matter how hard you try, just stay as they are now. Whatever that is that allows you now to be certain that those hands are kind of stuck like this. When you are certain, gently test them. Try to figure out how to separate them. And because we're using both hands now, if you find that you're trying to figure that out but cannot, just gently nod your head because you can't wave. And know that this is just your imagination, your mind with the ability to create this with you. And if you can create this, then you can also create that state of meditation. Because what's to stop you imagining the state of meditation that you want to be in to the point where you're so certain you can be in it, that then becomes your reality. Take a nice deep breath. Just allow the hands to they'll move now. It's just your mind, just the mind. Give them a shake. Fabulous. Thank you for humouring me on that. It was just a moment. I thought, yeah, let's experiment with that, and I think that was good. Yeah, we like that. So we'll finish up just recapping the meditation and doing a little bit more meditation from what we've done today. There's a lot of thoughts, a lot of notes, a lot of areas and aspects we've covered today, as well as some basic practice. So end up by reaffirming the basic practice, and then next session will be less theories and things like this, and more techniques and more practices. And I'm sure there'll again be other stuff that just drops in, like putting our hands together and sticking them and things. So it's all good fun. Right, let's get comfortable. Remember that posture. Like I do still to this day recommend just giving that little tug from the top of the head there, just pulls everything into alignment nicely. Getting comfortable. And we'll finish this session with a meditation that we start by taking 3 breaths together. So let's take a deep breath with each other. Let's take a deep breath with the possibilities that lie awaiting for us. Let's take a breath with the blessings that we have yet to discover. If you've not done so already, just allow your eyes to close. Tell yourself, I am going to relax. I am going to meditate. Everyday thoughts will not distract me. Everyday sounds will not disturb me. They all just help me go deeper. Now, just follow your breath. Gentle, slow, deep breathing. breathing into the pit of the stomach, and then just breathing out. And notice just how deeper you can go with each breath. And continue on. And as you continue to breathe on, you're going to speak to that deeper inner part of you, your inner self, the unconscious mind. And ask the unconscious mind to take everything that we've talked about, everything we've explored in the last few hours, and store it in a place where you can access this ability and this knowledge any time that you need. And you do not have to think about it. It's just there for you. Just like that ability you've always had to breathe, to relax, to focus. Placing that there, wherever that is, that allows you to recall it whenever you need. That's right. And so, when you're ready to return, feeling good, feeling relaxed, ready to embrace the blessings and the gifts this next week will bring you, even if you don't know what they are yet, then just bring yourself back, returning, ready to feel good. And when you're ready to do that and feel good, then just open your eyes. Be here now. And then have a stretch, have a fidget, feel good.